laughter once she discovered the truth. Ms. Kelly wrote in her book, The Other Side of the Coin, The Queen, the Dresser and the Wardrobe, which was authorized by the monarch herself, about a conversation that
Angela Kelly, now 67, was more than just Queen Elizabeth's dresser. She was her closest insider, and now she's finally speaking out. How did a former housekeeper from Liverpool end up living inside Buckingham Palace? From secret pranks to royal tensions, her story raises one big question. What really went on behind those palace doors? Angela Kelly wasn't born into royal circles. She started as a housekeeper, even working in Berlin in 1992 at the British Embassy under Ambassador Sir Christopher Malloby. Then something unexpected happened. During Queen Elizabeth II's visit to Germany with Prince Philip that October, Kelly had a casual chat with someone about heading back to England. What she didn't know was that this short, ordinary moment would open the gates to Buckingham Palace. In early 1993, she was offered a job as a dresser to the Queen. She accepted, not realizing just how important her role would soon become. Within 3 years, by 1996, Angela had taken over as senior dresser, filling the spot left vacant after the death of Bobo MacDonald, the Queen's trusted companion for many years. It was a tough act to follow, but Angela didn't try to copy anyone. She brought her own style. Warm, lighthearted, and quietly confident. She eventually moved right into Buckingham Palace, something not many staff members ever did. Her presence became part of the Queen's daily life, not just in terms of fashion, but in moments of big and small. Her title eventually grew into something far beyond dressing. She became the Queen's personal advisor and curator for jewelry, insignias, and wardrobe. Every item the Queen wore had meaning, and Kelly was the one who made sure of that. Like in 2011, during the Queen's visit to Ireland, the first from a British monarch in 100 years, Kelly chose a green outfit paired with a brooch that had an Irish harp on it. It was more than a pretty choice. It was deliberate, thoughtful, and filled with quiet messages of respect. Kelly's work involved careful planning for every detail. The color, the cut, the occasion, the hat, the gloves, even the angle of a brooch. But she didn't just design new clothes, she reused pieces from the royal wardrobe, some dating all the way back to 1961. She took those older fabrics and turned them into something fresh. It wasn't about saving money, it was about honoring the past and avoiding waste, something the Queen deeply believed in. Angela had a system too. She made handwritten notes, kept fabric swatches, and stored photos of every outfit worn just to make sure nothing was repeated at major events. But even if a piece was reused, she would quietly tweak it. A different set of buttons here, a shorter hemline there, just enough to make it look new without discarding it. One of the more surprising things Angela did was breaking in the Queen's shoes. Yes, you read that right. To make sure the Queen didn't get blisters from stiff new leather, Angela would wear the shoes herself, walking around the palace until they were soft enough. It was a small thing, but it showed how much she cared. Her workspace inside the palace looked like a private museum. Every dress, every accessory was stored and labeled, with options laid out daily. Brooches, gloves, hats, always chosen together with the Queen, never dictated. Angela didn't just stay in the background, she helped shape key public moments too. One of the biggest was in 2012 during the opening of the London Olympics. The Queen shocked everyone by appearing in a short film with James Bond. Yes, Daniel Craig, where she greeted him at Buckingham Palace before jumping from a helicopter into the Olympic Stadium. The real Queen walked into the royal box just after, but Angela had helped encourage that decision, knowing the Queen had a lighter side. It was one of those moments where tradition met surprise and people loved it. Angela later wrote a book in 2019, The Other Side of the Coin: The Queen, the Dresser, and the Wardrobe. It gave people a chance to see a different side of royal life, one that was full of humor, warmth, and surprising stories. Like one April Fool's Day, Angela placed a fake kookaburra outside the Queen's window, pretending it was a real bird. The Queen figured it out and had a good laugh. These moments weren't staged or rehearsed, they were real and very human. One of her most important projects came in 2004 when the Queen asked her to recreate the royal christening gown. The original had been used since 1841 by Queen Victoria's daughter and worn by over 60 royal babies, including the Queen's children and grandchildren. But the gown had become too delicate to use. Angela had to make an exact replica, not a modern version. She sourced lace from Italy, but it looked too fresh. So she dyed it using Yorkshire tea bags until it had the perfect soft cream color. The new gown was first worn in 2008 by James, Viscount Severn, and later by Prince George, Princess Charlotte, Prince Louis, and Archie Harrison. A royal tradition almost 180 years old was saved. In 2020, when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Angela's role changed again. She joined the Queen and Prince Philip at Windsor Castle as part of the tight group of 20 staff known as HMS Bubble. For months, she stayed there, helping keep them safe. There were no big events, but Angela took on everything, helping with housework, keeping the Queen company, even styling her hair for virtual calls. They spent quiet afternoons together. When Prince Philip died in April 2021, Angela was still there, preparing the Queen for one of her loneliest public appearances, the funeral where she sat masked and alone. Throughout all those years, Angela Kelly didn't just work for the Queen, she protected her image, her comfort, and often her spirit. What started as a casual comment in Berlin became a lifetime beside one of the most watched women on earth. And yet, the true details of that life, the quiet gestures, the private laughs, the care behind the curtain, were mostly known to only one person. Angela Kelly's book gave readers something they didn't expect. A very real, very quiet side of Queen Elizabeth II. Tucked inside its pages was a secret most people never knew. The Queen had always wanted to be seen differently. Away from stiff portraits and formal poses, she once allowed a private photo session where she stood with her hands in her pockets. For a monarch, that small move was anything but ordinary. It was her way of showing she wasn't just a symbol, she was a woman with thoughts, feelings, and a little bit of quiet rebellion. Angela didn't just talk about clothes, she talked about playful pranks, old fabrics being brought back to life, and a queen who wasn't afraid to laugh at herself. These personal stories helped people see someone they thought they already knew but didn't. When the book hit shelves, it didn't slip in quietly. Even though the Queen had said yes to it, the release made a lot of people in the palace uneasy. Speaking openly about the Queen's private moments was something rarely done, especially by someone still working outside the royal home. Some whispers said Angela had become too powerful, too close. Others worried she was stepping into the spotlight in a way that could shake the careful balance of royal silence. There were longtime staff who watched her with suspicion, unsure if her deep access was too much. She wasn't following the old silent path, but her loyalty wasn't a tradition, it was always directed at the Queen herself. Angela had not walked into the royal household without bumps. Early on, the senior staff didn't hide their doubts. They had grown used to the old ways, serious, formal, and distant. Angela, with her Liverpudlian accent and a habit of speaking her mind, didn't fit that mold. When she became senior dresser in 1996, many kept a close eye on her, waiting to see if she could handle the role. It wasn't easy, especially being from outside the aristocratic circle. She didn't push back loudly, though. She watched, listened, and adapted. Over time, her work spoke louder than anything else, but that tension with some of the older staff never really disappeared. Her planning was always careful. Nothing was left to chance. For the Queen's 1999 visit to South Korea, Angela started preparing months in advance. She studied traditions, dress codes, even the local climate. In the sticky, humid weather, she made sure the Queen's clothes would be comfortable, cool, and still elegant. She packed backup versions of important outfits, just in case. That habit paid off during a 2006 trip to Australia when one dress was unexpectedly damaged. Angela had a spare, and the public never knew anything had gone wrong. She even prepared for things like wind and rain. During a 2010 visit to Canada, she chose light fabrics to beat the summer heat and sturdy hats that wouldn't blow away. Angela didn't just deal with dresses, she worked with royal jewelry too. She was the one who carefully handled historic pieces like the Cullinan 5 brooch, which the Queen wore during a 2017 state banquet. Before anything was chosen, Angela made sure the history of the item fit the event. She also managed the Queen's ceremonial insignias like the Order of the Garter. Each badge, sash, and medal had to be placed perfectly. She understood the rules and traditions as well as the most senior courtiers, which earned her quite respect, but also quite envy from those watching her influence grow. Her closeness with the Queen grew over shared situations. During the Golden Jubilee tour in 2002, a scarf got stuck on a brooch, threatening to cause an awkward scene. Angela handled it quickly with a fix and a joke, and it turned into a light moment instead of a disaster. Over time, these small moments built something strong. Angela earned the Queen's trust to try bolder ideas, like choosing a bright turquoise outfit for a garden party in 2016. People loved it, but this wasn't just about fashion. The Queen wore bright colors so the crowds could see her clearly even from far away. Angela knew that and planned for it. The book didn't skip over practical details either. Angela explained how she made sure the Queen's clothes never looked wrinkled, using steamers and carrying tools to keep everything neat during travel. She shared how, at quiet family dinners, the Queen liked simple jewelry instead of grand diamonds. These tiny things helped people feel like they were being led into a world that had always seemed far away. Officially, it was called a retirement. But behind the scenes, things didn't seem that simple. With all such great moments, she stayed loved throughout her career. For more such amazing videos, do subscribe to our channel.